consider us to be minorities. Yeah, yeah, and refugees. Well, maybe not. Illegals, maybe, maybe not. But here's where it gets deeper. We are the people they see as ex slaves. So whenever the blue and the white eyes look at us, it doesn't matter what position we are in, how many gains we've made in our life, or how intelligent we are. If the blue and white eye sees a black person, they see an ex slave. And I'm not talking in absolutes, just so everyone knows. I'm not saying every person that is white sees a black person as an ex slave. But it's kind of how the country sees us. People come from other countries and don't want to associate with African Americans because they automatically see us as lower than them because we used to be in slaves. And we used to be slaves and we were enslaved for 246 years. Okay? And they were right. We were enslaved by another group of people. We didn't knock on America's door and say, hey, make us slaves. We will love it. But yet, to this day, in present day, there are people trying to tell us being slaves benefited us because we learned skills. We learned valuable skills while we were slaves. So we should be thankful that we were made in slaves, that we were enslaved. We should be thankful for that. That's ludicrous. But yet, this is what's being said in this country today. Today. 2023. We have to do better. We have to learn to love each other. We have to learn to embrace each other. And it doesn't matter who you are. You know, they call us ex slaves. They see us as ex slaves. They call us the blacks, the browns, and the yellows. They call us cheap Jews and ragheads and camel jockeys. Today, this is how they classify people of this country that don't look like them, that don't practice the same religion as them. It's a bad thing. It hurts me to the core because I have so much love for people and I have hope that people will change and people can change and some people can. But no, this is not something I think will happen overnight. This is a thing that may never happen. But it doesn't mean we shouldn't strive for it. We shouldn't just give up. We really do need to learn how to love one another. These are truly desperate times. Truly desperate. We need to learn to stand arm in arm. and locking arms together. But that's kind of difficult too, because some people still don't want to touch us. They surely don't want to lock arm in arm. To this day, a black person can go to a white church and nobody will want to sit next to them like they have the cooties in church. In church. One time, my wife and my mother-in-law, we decided we would try to visit one of the churches close to our home. And we pulled into the parking lot. We was there early, and this is what we got. Look, look, look. What are they doing here? Look, look. Oh, go tell mom. Go tell dad. Look, look. This day and age. The children were doing that, and they went and got their parents, and their parents did that at a church. At a church. So I'm almost through this poem, and you know, the last lines here is we need to love each other, embrace each other, and have empathy and compassion for each other. But I ended with, so what's next? What's next? What are we going to do? What are you going to do to make a difference here? And like I said, everyone that ever comes to this show, I consider you to be an activist, an everyday activist. And if you do something small, if you learned anything from this show, from this episode, if you don't believe anything I say, that's okay. But you might Google some of the things I said and say, oh, that can't be true. There's no way in the world that can be true. And you Google it and you're like, oh, shoot, that is true. I didn't know. Because you don't have to believe me. I'm just a guy talking. I'm a guy reading poetry. You don't have to believe me. But you might research it and find that it is true. And maybe you didn't know. That's okay. That's your part of activism. That's your taking action to learn something new, to learn about another group of people, to learn about this country and how this country is and how this country treats certain people. We can learn something. One little thing. You might learn that, hey, come to this show. Ask me any question you want on this topic. I will do the best I can to answer that question. Anything you want to know, but I am not going to get angry. This is why I'm here. This is why I do this. Because if we don't talk to each other and ask each other questions without getting angry, how are we going to learn? How are we going to learn about each other? How are we going to learn to love each other? We're all different people, but we're people. We're all people. So just remember that. What's next? What's next? Are good things going to come next? Are bad things going to come next? Are you going to do anything that maybe things can get a little better? It doesn't matter if you're just one person. I'm just one person. But this is what I'm doing. People may hate me. People may not come to the show. That's okay. I'm doing my part to do something, to help create some change. So, Jill, do we have anything, any comments, questions?
Well, you know, I always have questions.
No, I don't know that you
Yes,
always
you
have
do.
questions. I don't know
That's a
that.
given about me.
No, that is not a given. I do not know that. So, fire away if you have a
Well,
question.
my question is, how do you answer your own question of what's next?
Well, I kind of think I voiced that. You know, part of what's next is for me to keep doing this show. That's one thing that it's next. Another thing that's next is I continue to educate myself on, excuse me, different situations. Another thing I do is I spread love, okay? And it might make a lot of people very uncomfortable, okay? If I meet you and I like you, most likely I'm going to hug you and say, "Oh, I love you." And people get taken aback. "Oh, wait a minute, you didn't cross the boundary." Yeah, maybe. Maybe I did. But how many times does a person you have just met and you've only spent half an hour with them puts their arms around you and say, "I love you"? It doesn't happen. For the most part, it just does not happen.
What does love mean to you?
You're asking a lot of questions.
That's what I do.
Well, you know that's a loaded question, Jill. Yes, that is what you do. But there's many different types of love. And I don't think I have to go into all the different types of love. Love for your family, love for your child, love of something you do. There's many different types of love. But what love means to me is to have love for a human being, period. Because they're a human being. Have some love, have some compassion, have some empathy, have some grace for a human being. And I know a person will say, well, some people you can't love. Some people are horrible. Some people are murderers and rapists and serial killers and wife beaters and drug addicts and all types of horrible things. So I'm not saying when I love them, I'm just going to put my arms around them and say, "I love you," while they stab me in the back, literally, or literally cut my throat. But I still do have some level of love for them. You know, I don't think a serial killer should run free. But the way I'm able to have some love, at least some inkling of love for someone like that, is that one, they're a human being. Two, we need to think about how did they end up like this? And there's all different kind of conditions, mental conditions, why they may have ended up that way. But hatred is what gives us a slow death more than anything else. We got to get rid of the hatred. We have to. We have to. So please, please, please try to make a difference. Try to do something. And I'm going to wrap this show up, but I want you all to remember to be an everyday activist. An everyday activist can be just having a conversation with someone. An everyday activist can be, hey, I listened to this really crazy show, Poetic People Fighting Racism. And this guy says some really crazy things. I don't believe it. Fine. There's a conversation. I don't care who you have the conversation with, there's a conversation. I also want you to try to be love and show love, even within your own family. How many times do you tell your family member that you love them? How many times do you tell your sibling, I love you? Think about it and mean it. If you're a family, if you grew up in a family that didn't say that, okay, start saying it now. You start with your family. And after you get comfortable with telling your family just out of the blue, I love you, then you might start moving on to your friends and telling your close friends that you love them. It's uncomfortable at first, but eventually it'll start to become comfortable. And I'm not saying a meaningless love you. I mean to feel it from your heart, from your soul. Be sincere. Be sincere. Learn how to put out this love that we all have within inside us. We have more love inside us than we know. And we're not using it at all. And the other thing I want you to do is just do something different. Do something different. Go to work a different way. Do something different. Go to some event that you have never been to before. Something different. Maybe you've never drawn a picture. Draw something, just something different. Because when you start changing little things in your habits, in your daily habits, in what you do, maybe you watch a certain show every week at 5 o'clock on Monday. Maybe the next time, 5 o'clock on Monday, read a book. Just do something different. Because when you start doing little things different in your life will begin to change. And you will begin to see that you do have power. You're not just one person. You're way stronger than just one person. You are an amazing being on this planet. You can do great things. So try some. Baby steps at first, but try some. Do something different. Do something different. Wow. I had planned for this show to last 30 minutes tonight. My producer is shaking my head. No, you never do. But, but it's okay. I thank all the audience members that came and stayed. Thank you so much. It means a lot to me, and I do feel like you all are everyday activists because you don't have to be here. I know this. You have taken your time out of your Saturday night to be here live in the audience, and I appreciate that. I really, really do, and I love you all for it. And I'm not just saying that. I have love for everyone that's here in the audience. I have love for everyone that listens to the replay. I have love for everyone that shares this show. And I'm not going away. I'm going to keep on doing what I'm doing because this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay? It's bigger than me. So here I am. All right. The music you're listening to now is called Coral by 29 Beats. And the music I played during my poem, and I done lost the list on that, but I'm finding it, was, this is interesting, Rise of a Hero by Audiocom. So, if you're interested in them, you can check them out on Melody Loops. You can find that stuff, and you can buy the rights, so you can play it royalty free. So check that out, especially if you're a creator. It's a good place to get music for your project or your show. So again, I love you all. I'm going to try to get out of the show by turning off the video first. Then I'm going to try to end the show, and it doesn't always end like it's supposed to, but keep